8 days ago at approximately 3:45 p.m., Faye Marie Swetlik was discovered to be missing by her mother. Her mother did what most parents would do. She called her friends, she gathered her neighbors, and she frantically looked around the neighborhood for her daughter. Having no luck, she placed a frantic call to 911 at approximately 5 p.m. By 5:03, Casey officers were on the scene at Churchill Heights and were gathering information. They talked with family members and neighbors and began going through the neighborhood to look for Faye. Within 30 minutes of their arrival, officers notified the Casey command staff, including myself, and all of us immediately responded to Churchill Heights and began asking for assistance from other local agencies. By 6 p.m., having so far not located Faye, both SLED and the FBI were contacted and immediate assistance was requested. At this time, we had 50 or more law enforcement officers, firefighters, and first responders on the scene, and we were doing organized canvasses door to door in searches of the neighborhood to initiate our first initiated our first neighborhood perimeter search. Prior to Monday, many of you will remember we had a great deal of rain over a short period of time. We have areas of flooding and rough, dense terrain in our city. This includes the area directly around Churchill Heights neighborhood. Regardless of these conditions, all officers were asked to check every pool, creek, culvert, manhole, trash can, shed, play structure, woods, and anywhere else that a young girl could be. Over the next hour, our law enforcement presence grew to over 90 personnel. Both SLED and the FBI were on scene. A SLED helicopter assisted from the air, and numerous K-9 teams from several local agencies were in the area searching for Faye. Faye was placed in the NCIC, that's the National Crime Information Database, as a missing child. A BOLO, or be on the lookout for, was issued for Faye to every agency across our region. We placed pictures and information across social media, and it immediately was shared by thousands of people. While this was happening, the Lexington County Sheriff's Office and the Casey Department of Public Safety were setting up a mobile command unit in the middle of the neighborhood so that we could maintain a presence of officers in that area 24 hours a day until this was concluded. We also converted Casey City Hall into a much larger stationary command center for the more than 300 law enforcement officers and firefighters from across the region that joined in our search. For the remainder of the night, there was a heavy presence of first responders in and around the area. Casey officers shut down the neighborhood and were instructed to stop every car coming in and going out of the neighborhood, and to talk to every person they saw to see if they had any information about Faye's whereabouts. By Tuesday morning, a dedicated Faye Swetlik hotline was set up and went live at our command center. We began roadblock operations at all entrances around the neighborhood. We spoke to everyone coming in and going out and asked for consent to look in their vehicles. Everyone was extremely cooperative, understanding, and very helpful. Our officers were provided with a standardized FBI questionnaire form that was specifically targeted to glean information to help us find Faye. This is what the officers used when they talked to anyone in reference to this case. That morning, we did a coordinated effort with multiple agencies to go door to door to question all residents, friends, and visitors in all 280 plus homes in Churchill Heights. Our goal was to speak to every occupant of every residence, no matter how long it took. And we would also request consent to enter and look for anything that would lead us to find Faye. Grid searches of the perimeter of the neighborhood were also conducted multiple times. All the while, officers were again instructed to check every pool, creek, culvert, manhole, trash can, shed, or any other structure or area that a young girl may be in. Canines continued to search, and on Wednesday, another round of grid and perimeter searches were conducted. Wednesday night, with all the current law enforcement operations taking place, we decided to bring another city department as a resource to help us find Faye. Thursday was the regular sanitation pickup day for Churchill Heights, and all residents were obviously aware of that. On Thursday morning, our officers diligently and methodically followed the Casey sanitation trucks through the neighborhood, and as each can was loaded and emptied into the back of a garbage truck, they methodically combed through it to see if they could find any piece of information or clue in hopes of finding something that would lead us to Faye. At approximately 10 a.m., a trash can near 602 Piccadilly Square was emptied, and as our officers went through it, they found a couple of items that were of significant importance. One was a child's polka dot boot, and the second was a soup ladle that had freshly dug dirt in it. I happened to be on scene at that time, and upon seeing these items, I called for assistance to do an additional and immediate grid search of the areas directly behind Londonderry and Piccadilly Square. As assistance was coming, I went into the woods behind the townhomes, and just before 10:30 a.m., I located the body of Faye Swetlik. At approximately 10:30, other Casey officers were notified of a residence that there was a man bleeding on the back patio. That was 602 Piccadilly Square. Officers immediately went to his aid and found a deceased white male. Immediately, SLED's crime scene unit collected various samples of DNA from both crime scenes and from inside 602 Piccadilly Square. That DNA, once tested, connected the unknown pieces of this horrific crime. I can tell you that the deceased male had been contacted and interviewed at 602 Piccadilly on Wednesday afternoon. He was cooperative and gave consent to agents to look through the house. Those agents did not see anything that alerted them to believe that he had knowledge or was in any way involved in Faye's disappearance at that time. Evidence leads us to believe that the deceased abducted and killed 6-year-old Faye Marie